Now, the attack that was launched against Dungeons and Dragons, was extremely long and involved a plethora of different characters, including like Dr. Radecki from the old National Coalition Against Violent Television. Wonderful individual known as Sean Sellers, a serial killer who believed that he'd been possessed by by a demon named Azurit at one point in time, and so killed his parents and a shop store clerk. And one particular individual, though, that I find absolutely frightening. I mean, some of this other stuff is just kind of funny. Reflecting back on it, at the time it would have been depressing, but in hindsight, it's just ridiculous. This fellow, though, Larry Jones and File 18. Larry Jones was a member of the Idaho Police Department in Boise, and File 18 is actually a newsletter that was distributed to police. Now, Patricia Pulling had allied herself with Larry Jones at some point in time and convinced him of her story regarding Dungeons and Dragons and the dangers thereof, convinced him of her magical worldview and this great satanic conspiracy that she constructed that gripped all of the United States. It was quite the story, quite the tale. Anyway, this is a quote from one of Larry Jones, who, keep in mind, is a member of the police department, or was. The solution to Satanism, in his point of view, directly quoted from him. The editorial staff concurs that the only true and lasting solution to devil worship or satanic involvement is a personal encounter with true Christianity and with the central figure of that faith, Jesus Christ. Only through this light can the deep and dangerous tentacles of satanic or occult enslavement be exposed and removed from a person's life. When asked to define Satanism, Jones said, people worshipping a deity other than God of the Bible. And then went on to note that you cannot be a dedicated Satanist without violating the law of the land. Pardon me. That doesn't even require extensive examination to be seen how this is incredibly dangerous. This newsletter that this kind of information is being printed in is being distributed to members of law enforcement in order to have them constructively build strategies for themselves in order to more effectively combat crime in the area. It's reasonable enough. And, these are given at seminars for confused issues like actual occult activity and actual crimes related to that. And this fantastical junk gets thrown in there and confuses the hell out of it, what is already a very confused issue, or was a confused issue at the time. So, why should I be an outspoken atheist? Well, for starters, this whole issue with Patricia Pulling, as ridiculous as it is, nobody, I don't think even fairly fundamentalist Christians living in today's age would look back at this and go, oh yes, she was correct. It's just patent nonsense and has been debunked enough times that you just go, okay, it was just ridiculous. However, at the time, you look at things like Larry Jones and File 18, where the message is seeped through into central infrastructure for society in North America, and you go, wow, maybe there's a real problem here, because this is extremely dangerous. I'm being called a criminal without having ever done any crime at all. I'm sitting here playing a game, and I can apparently be arrested for this, or they feel that I'm conducting criminal activity, which is absurd. Why be an outspoken atheist? Because people who listen to rhetoric spilled out by persons like Patricia Pulling, often like the individuals who entered the gaming venue, don't even understand the arguments that they're seeing, don't realize that what they're standing in opposition to is it's nonsensical to be standing in that position. And all you have to do is show them, and they'll often go, "Oh, okay, my mistake," because they have a much more reasonable stance, unlike fundamentalists like Patricia Pulling, who has a vested emotional interest in seeing that yes, her claim is true. In her case, the emotional investment was the death of her son. She couldn't accept that what she was saying wasn't true, because if it was, that meant that her son acted of his own free will when he took his life. Anyway, why should I be an outspoken atheist? Or why am I an outspoken atheist, pardon me. This event was the catalyst for what eventually spiraled into an FBI break-in at Steven Jackson Games, which was another highly respected game designer at the time. The FBI took almost completely eliminated a brand new line of game that was coming out. And you might go, well, that's not necessarily consequential, except for, unless you were the gaming company who's being raided for no reason at all, or a person interested in a hobby and is denied that particular game. I mean, admittedly, that's kind of superficial, but still, one has to consider the connotation that's there. Also, the Patricia Pulling charade that occurred over such a long period of time, and the FBI break-in at Steven Jackson Games are two really significant landmarks in role-playing, and that they are what effectively created the gigantic stigma against role-playing games that, just exists within society. There's the geekiest element, if you will, that also segregates it from the mainstream. But it was these two events that really created a gigantic rift, where even other geeks would say get in on role-playing. They didn't want to because their families or friends or whomever would see them conducting activity that is unethical somehow, which is, of course, bogus. So I guess that's why I'm an outspoken atheist rather than just say an atheist. So just to wrap things up, although I missed out on the challenge, unfortunate in that respect, I just have one final thing to say. I deny the existence of the Holy Spirit. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.